Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Roses were living the dream.
To you, my darling.
No, to you.
Until it all came crashing down.
You got fired.
Fired?
On August 29th, stop.
You stop!
And see The Roses. Rated R. In theaters everywhere, August 29th.
Welcome into the Tour Coach, everybody. It's PGA Championship week, and I'm your host, Tony Ruggiero, as I am each and every week. If you're new to this, these are stories, interviews, roundtable discussions. Some turn out to be pretty funny because we're always having a good time, but it's people that I find insightful, knowledgeable, the people that I trust, the people that I find fascinating from traveling the world of golf, coaching and teaching, whether it's my home studio here in Mobile, Alabama, or my home for instruction at Old Palm Golf Club down in Palm Beach Gardens, or whether it's out at the PGA Championship this week with Andy Ogletree, or it's on the PGA Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour, the Live Tour, Epson or LPGA, wherever it is we travel. These are the stories, the interviews, and the people that I think can help all of you play the game better, or maybe coach the game better, teach the game better, as we have so many folks from our industry that listen to the Tour Coach. And PGA Championship week, folks, means it's your opportunity to go onto our YouTube page, DewSweeper TV, watch some of the videos. We've got new videos, new content going up every day, and I appreciate all of the interest in it as the numbers keep soaring, especially with the production and the release of a new Pro Work episode. For a chance to win a new set of Srixon irons or a Vineyard Vines Prize Pack or a Bushnell Mini Wingman, all you have to do is go onto our YouTube page, check it out, and comment hashtag Pro Work or hashtag DewSweeper TV or hashtag Tour Coach, and those will get you entered, and we're going to do the drawing Monday after the PGA. So I hope you enjoy the content we're bringing to you this week. We've got some great stuff. We've got great people coming on. It's going to be a fun and exciting week up at Valhalla. Before we go, though, I'm a changed man. That's all I got to say. Is everybody listens to this knows, obviously, big red wine guy. Been a huge rum guy for a long time. I always swore off tequila. I had a bad incident with tequila back in college, hanging out with my buddies Big Al and Rich. What can I tell you? I'm a changed man. I had the opportunity this week, was out at the U.S. Girls 4-Ball in San Antonio, hanging out with some folks, and tasted these new drinks called Epic Western. They're 100% blue agave tequila. My personal favorite is the Chisparita, but the ranch water was amazing. La Paloma and Brushfire. They've got 4 different drinks. This is like going to the highest end tequila bar you can find, getting the highest end cocktail, refreshing, putting it in a can. I can't think of a better thing to drink or just kind of sip while you're playing golf. My first thought was being on a boat in the Keys, but folks, if you're in Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, or Florida, check out Epic Western. It is amazing. New partner here on the DewSweepers. We're looking forward to doing some content with them. But if you want the coolest drink, I think, to drink while you're out riding around in a cart practicing, maybe I should try it while I'm coaching. Check out Epic Western, and that's epicwestern.com. But just go find them wherever they sell it. You won't be disappointed. Take a sip, drive around in a golf cart, hit a few balls. Guarantee it's going to make the experience better. You're listening to the Tour Coach, and it's PGA Championship week. We got some great stuff coming for you. All right, so Tour Coach here on location at the PGA Championship. A little bit of a rainy morning, sitting here with Derek Deminsky, Golf Better Tucson. We've had him before on the podcast, but helping Andy Ogletree out this week with short game once again, and it's looking great. Let's talk a little bit here. It's Tuesday of the PGA Championship week. Talk a little bit about the shots that you've seen, Derek. First of all, thanks for sitting in, and we've had a blast. Talk about the shots that you see that are going to be necessary around here. A little different than, because it's you got zoysia, and you got some of the bluegrass and the bent, but kind of mixed in around it. So talk a little bit about the short game shots that you see. And I also want to go back to kind of some of the stuff you talked about with Andy, like about getting your, just kind of your vanilla and your basics dialed in.
Yeah. So, getting out on the course and seeing,
some of the bunker shots that you'll see where it's really elevated greens, seeing some of the zoysia, seeing some of the balls that are sitting down. That's something that we'll talk about with Andy that we're working on. And then kind of like what we discussed yesterday, like certain rough conditions, like hole 3, like if you go long on hole 3, long center on 3, that rough is so thick.
Right.
So it's such a thick blade.
Yeah.
So really, even in your yardage book, just kind of noting, hey, like this area of rough is super penal. And then kind of like we talked about with Andy, if it's that back right pin and you're long on 3, you got to just play for a 3. So it's kind of recognizing your score based on those situations, because we're going to see some thick rough out there.
We were talking a bunch yesterday, walking around the 9 holes, and like there was one hole, I think it was 6, and we hit some chips from beside the right of the green. There's going to be a lot of balls there because that dog leg right, if you hit in the left rough, it's a hard hole anyways. But you talked about like, hey, there's going to be some places that people miss greens that, look, if you don't get up and down, but you make 3 from there, right? Which would be a bogey, say.
Yeah.
That's not the end of the world on a golf course like that, right? And I think that's a great lesson for. We have a lot of teachers, we have a lot of up and coming players, a lot of people that just love golf.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I think that's a valuable lesson. And we've talked about some of the stuff from, learning from Phil and all of that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good lesson for people.
Yeah, and I think something that even we talked about when we were practicing when I first came in on Sunday, and we hit a few shots on the practice area, and even Andy was like, okay, I'd be mad if I left it here, right? So it's like, okay, we're hitting some tough shots, but even a player like that can recognize, I shouldn't really need to be here. And again, recognizing those situations when you're dead, accepting a 3, not trying to get too cute with it to bring in maybe that double, right? Because you can always recover from a bogey, but man, when you start spending more than you need to, especially with the course management error, that's when you can start, the domino effect in a major. That can be a big deal.
And then we go to another place where I think it was 8. We were hitting some pitch shots, and you had him hitting a shot using some slope, but hitting, a shot that you didn't necessarily need a ton of loft, right? It was some spin. And then you look at, and then I said, well, would you have anybody hit a higher shot, right? A bigger shot. Sure. And you talk a little bit about that, because I see golfers of all levels sometimes make the big swing when they don't need to. Yeah. And while, like, we all see, and I'll bring his name, like Phil, you'll see the heroic shot, right? And you do see a guy do that once in a while to win a major. But like, if we're walking 18 holes at a major, most of the time those guys play the percentages and the safest shot, and it's not always the biggest, hardest, most speed shot out there.
Yeah, just like you said, if you're a little bit out of position, and with that pin on that par 5, I think is what you're talking about, right? So I'd have, when we're talking about this, I'd have that average person, there was kind of that bowl there, just almost hit a stock chip to that bowl and accept that, like, hey, that's kind of the end goal. Like,
and most likely that's for birdie, right?
Well,
that's
exactly. It's just because, if they leave it in that bunker short, they're dead. And if they blade over the green, they're dead. So, like, that's almost where the blow-up rounds start to happen, right? Because then they're so mad about that shot, then they spend one stroke to get into a worse position. I mean, at that point, they can almost just chip to the front of the green and or putt to the front of the green if they feel comfortable there. So it's not fun to do. Great golf's not always fun. Scoring your best isn't always fun, but to do it, you have to be disciplined, and that's what it takes.
And I think it takes discipline, and I think, and I tell my up and coming players and my young players, and even like Andy, who's made it to a major championship, like, I think one of the recipes for success is really doing the little things exceptionally well, taking care of the details. Right, and we talked yesterday out there, like the 30 feet straight up the hill, good lie. You got to get all those up and down, right? And I see guys practice the hard stuff, but not spend very much time hitting the basics. And I mean, how many times? I mean, you do it too. You see it with tour players, like they'll have 30, 40 feet straight uphill. And you'll see a guy, and these are normally the guys struggling to make cuts, right? Sure. But they leave themselves 5-6 feet, and now they get 4 out of 5 of those up and down, but that 5th one, that's a lost shot, right? Yeah. Whereas you were talking with Andy out there about how many do you make?
Yeah. It just in those stock shots, and there's ways that we can practice that But when you have those easy shots, for tour players, that's where you need to gain strokes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not having these incredible saves from impossible places. It's when you have those stock shots, it's almost threatening the hole like it was a 30 or 40 foot putt, right? We need to turn. That's why I call it like a lag chip. And with Andy, with where his form's at now, and again his touch is incredible. And we've seen it. I mean, I think in practice he's probably holed 20 shots or so, and or they're all on the pin.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we talked about too when he goes and plays. Hey, if you're not doing this on the course, because we see it clearly in practice, he should be an elite short gamer.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not seeing that on the course, we either have to change how we practice or how we play. Because why are you doing it in practice, or why aren't you doing it in play? So we got to just kind of, we've seen that he can do it, so it's recognizing how can we structure practice and or just his on-course routine to bring that up more often.
And a little bit about how to practice at a tournament. I like the stuff you were talking about. We were talking about his putting practice routine, but I'm big on, I'd rather you practice less but have a lot of intent in what you're doing, and be hyper-focused. I'd rather you hit 20 balls on the range and really be focused on what you're doing than hitting balls for 2 hours.
Totally.
Short game. How do you like guys to practice short games at tournaments?
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that, it's the same thing when you come to a major event. You don't want to be working on your putting stroke, right? You're working on the slopes, you're working on the speeds. It'd be the same for short game. So I have this 24 ball drill that I like people to do where they just test their stock shot out. I need you to train that at home before you come to a major, so then we can see how that reacts, right? So I like training and testing and building kind of at home and in the off time. And then actually when you get to the tournament, then you can test it out and say, okay, my stock, a little 5-yard chip, man, it's really running out. These greens are fast, so I might need to add some spin this week. But you're trying to have a solid foundation that you bring to the event, and then you can test it out at the event and see what the ground does, what the lies do. So you're trying to test really more specific things to that location, like here at Valhalla.
And then, another thing you talked about yesterday I thought was fantastic was hey, if you're hitting the trajectory you want, with good contact, and you're hitting your spots, you're doing great, right? Then it's a matter of reading, judging,
exactly,
right? And so to me, that's we should be working on that before we get here, right?
Yes.
And then when you get here, if you're hitting your spots, it's just all about figuring it out. I'll never go back. I heard Colby Touye a couple years ago, told me with Tiger that it was getting to San Diego, all he tries to do is, everybody knows this, he gets there early, he's not working on his golf swing, he's trying to see how the course and the conditions change every day. That's so you can read things, right? And to me, that's kind of what we're doing here. You've gotten him dialed with his fundamentals are in check. Now it's just a matter of him getting a read of how things react around the green.
Yeah, and that's something I think what I really like about, Andy and his putting is how simple he makes that stroke and what he does, right? He's got it so dialed in so that he doesn't really have to test it, or he can only then test it at the event. He doesn't need to train it at the event. It's not like, oh man, my putting stroke sucks. What am I going to do this week? It's no, my putting stroke is good. I have these baseline trainings to make sure it's good, and then I can test the green speeds and all that. The same thing kind of with that 24 ball drill. All that is, it's essentially hitting landing spots from 5 to 15 steps. I've just measured out that's 70% of your short gaming. It's just, you have to be great at those. You can practice the tangibleness, or, just putting down some fake holes, and you have to chip to the spot. Because if you can contact it well and land it where you want, with the trajectory that's reasonable, I've never seen anyone do that and be bad at short game. I've just never seen it. Because that's that's kind of the bread and butter of short game is I contact it well, I land it where I want. And if it doesn't pan out, well, then it's a green reading issue, or, man, the greens are firm and I need to adjust. But you can take those skills in practice, test them at Valhalla to see how it then reacts. So, you don't want to be doing a lot of this panic stuff the week of the event, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Just, man, on a Wednesday, you wouldn't want to be changing up anyone like that. So it's just further testing what you've trained and build, when it's more comfortable.
Let's go real quick. Last question here. When somebody comes to you and you're going to kind of reset their fundamentals.
Sure, it happens a lot.
Right? It happened here,
totally.
Right? So what are some of the areas you look that you see when people get off that they struggle with?
Yeah, and that's what we've talked about too quite a bit, is because I play and I've been screwed up enough by coaches, I'm not in a hurry to make changes and or impose my will. Mm-hmm. And I know some players really like to, hey, what am I doing wrong? They're not, it's not always going well, but I need to know, what situations do you struggle with? What do your bad shots look like? Right. So with Andy, he was kind of missing that weak right shot. Mm-hmm. Right. So we had him start actually with a less open face because he was just getting it so open. And then for a stock shot, you don't need to do that for a stock shot for him. Mm-hmm. So we just got his face slightly open and had him feel like he was opening it through the shot compared to just having it wide open. At that point, the spin loft can get a little too crazy to where you can miss weak right. So that's like in play with that. Mm-hmm. So as we've just squared him up a little bit more, we just have seen that miss go away. So that's awesome. Key. Yeah.
Derek, it's fun hanging out with you. Fun.
We're having a great time.
Having a great couple days walking around. It's going to be a good week.
Yeah.
Appreciate all your help, and I'm sure we're going to do some more of this
Absolutely,
this week.
We will.
Awesome.
You bet, baby.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. And look, recently, several teachers I know and several players have had some scares with skin cancer. In fact, I recently went and saw a dermatologist here in town, and I had a couple things frozen off, eyelid, my face, my earlobe, and not getting any younger. And I know it's getting to that time of the season where it's cooler, but look, being in the sun is a real deal, and I've not been very good, to be totally honest, my whole career at using it at all because I didn't like how greasy it was, how hard it was to get off your hands, how it clogged up my pores. And then I found this sunscreen, Visor Skincare. It's clear, it goes on, it doesn't dry you out, it isn't greasy, it's like you didn't put anything on it. By far, it's the best sunscreen I've ever used. Without a doubt, is the easiest to use. And we've got a discount code for all of you. All you have to do is go to visorskincare.com, is use our code word DewSweeper. visorskincare.com, code word DewSweeper. I just want to remind everybody something that I forgot. Recently, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I went out. We went to a wedding, and afterwards with some friends, we were like, hey, where's a great place to go? I'll be honest, like in my travels and day-to-day, sometimes I get caught up and I forget some of the great places right around the corner. But I got to remind you about the Icebox Bar on 755 Monroe Street. I was blown away by just the whole vibe, the atmosphere, and with the Velvet Pig, the food in the back room and the big screen TVs up front. We sat there and watched some playoff games. I was blown away by the atmosphere, the vibe, and just how cool it was to have the Icebox Bar right here near DewSweepers downtown, near where I live. You're looking for a great place to go sit, watch some games, hang out, play some pool. You got to go to the Icebox Bar right there on Monroe Street. There's a good chance you'll see all of us hanging out, but do yourself a favor, go visit the Icebox. It's one of the best places out there.